That was a nice introduction. Thank you so much, Boris. We'll start with something reasonably simple, and then we'll move on into the realms of philosophical questions. Some of them very simple, some of them a bit difficult, so we hope that we can't confuse you too much if you're not familiar with the English language. It's one of my traits to mess with words and chop them up and reassemble them, so good luck. This was written for all of you. They lay on the grass as fast as a tiger. The only difference between you and the tiger, you can be ridden and you can move wherever you choose. There's so much privilege around here these days. It seems as if death is the most precious and perfect, irreversible of all. All of us die. It is our most common denominator, yet we can dominate her too, cheat her, scare her to a self-chosen death. And there it is. Whoops. There it is. Glass shattering, flattering, flattening, flattening what we show, what we know, what we imagine, reject, reflect. That we know. Tiny shards of cutting snow, ice, cosmetic surgery of the damned, we think. And through a looking glass, we threw a looking glass, not necessarily reaching even further, or further, or even further. We imagine we've seen it all. We're kind of jaded, so we change position, stance. We stand tall. We accept the bruises, the loses, and who loses, and the losses, and the bruises. Yet, there it is. It's a me. It's a me. It's a me that looks and cannot stop looking. It cannot act without looking. And that act alone, a lonelier than we could ever imagine, even when we're looking harder. Like a white rabbit, punch drunk or not, down the hole we go. Can we see? Who exposes me, brutalizes me, brutalizes me? Is it brutal, cruel, or simply closer to a truth, a broken, a merely chipped tooth? Tooth. We stare, our eyes wide, wider than we can imagine, and stare, and we stare, and we ask for a name, and we blame. We ask for a name to blame. Whose fault that I cannot see through this looking glass? Be assured, all who see this brutalized being seeing itself melt away, and in guilt and shame, so formless, unfinished. There is no name except perhaps White Rabbit. Not me, not me, not me. I'm sure who I am. But try as we may, we are not to blame. And yet all the beauties we have, we try to give a name. Brutal eyes, wide eyes, So we wear sunglasses, apologize. We're scared. And when it happened to me, it was, of course, over something very petty. You gave her money for pleasure? Well, no. Put your hands down right now. Now. How dare you? You never paid me. And so it was she who pummeled me, smashed me in my eyes as I kept my fingers clenched, trying not to protect myself. And she broke my face, my safe space, over and over and over, smashing my eyes, brutal eyes, until my only excuse was that we were wrestling, and it was my fault for moving too slow. No one did it to me. It was my fault. Does that make me your mirror? Don't get me wrong. Brutalized does not mean cruel, or mean-spirited, or cold, or hard, or enraged, or engaged, or violent. It means clear, open, honest, seeing without editing your emotion. It's a form of courage, unafraid of injury or bruise, celebrating clarity, a kind of white rabbit in the news. And is the only step that we can take. This, brutal eyes, is that the only step forward towards the truth of how we really are? Not even who we are, but simply put, the eye speaks louder than any other weapon and does so with infinite compassion. Interlude for an advert. We hear our own voice speaking, and the words become thin and transparent like glass. And we are at the place from where they come, and they are like holograms floating. Words are the essence of mind, like the voice of rain or a sandstorm. Words are the voice behind our voice. In New York in September, 9/11, myself and Lady J, my other half, she's here, we were supposed to go to this place called the Russian Baths, where you can get sort of spa treatments, saunas and massages, and you can stay all day for one price. And we'd agreed to go and be there at 9:30 a.m. so we could spend the day. And we woke up about 8 o'clock and made love, and then Jay said to me, we should really get up and go to the Russian Baths, which to get to, we would have had to get a subway train and get out under the World Trade Center and walk about 300 meters. And then she said, let's not go. Let's just stay in bed. And because she said that, instead of being under the World Trade Center at about 9:15 and being killed, we were alive. About 9:30, somebody came rushing upstairs, banging our door, saying, you've got to look, see what's happening. So we went up on the roof. That time we lived in Brooklyn, and we could see suddenly all this smoke coming up from the World Trade Centers, as was. And then we turned to Jay and said, we don't want to watch. We don't want to watch people dying. So we went back downstairs, switched off the TV, closed the curtains, and stayed inside for about 4 days. it's amazing how many people didn't go to work that day. And somebody did a survey, and there's a spike on that particular day at that time, which they analyzed as a psychic network operating. They have no explanation. But it could have been up to about 80 or even more than 80,000 people there that day. But there were actually only about 4,500. One of our friends was in the firefighters, though, and they died. So this is about 9/11. We don't always do things about that kind of situation, but having been saved, it seemed appropriate. Did we burn our soul only around the edges? Did we burn our soul only around the edges? And now my mind asks my soul, did we survive? Or did I burn my soul irrevocably, trying to look into its essence? Did we burn our soul only around the edges? A period of contemplation and renewal. Yet ironically, my body is tiring and slowing, moving into its next phase. So that boy that we were, moving, he must surrender his throne to the chivalrous, we hope, to the knight, we hope, to the mature man, we hope, to the woman, we hope, to a man at last that can pour his image over the boy, drown the boy like silicon, become another being. And this wraith ghost, pondering, thinking, with so little substance, wonders how solid we really are. Did we burn our souls only around the edges? And my thoughts and my intentions balance out. When driven by youth and flesh, we fleshed me out with peaceful countenance. Or did I use up a few lifetime souls getting here? Cast myself into the void in a dance of reincarnation? Have I died before? Have I avoided death before? Do I always not get on the train? It's a hard place to look. Transformation or not. And looking back at the person, the loops and the loops, the thing we call personality is not so real. But it reveals, and it's in need of respect and consideration. Everything requires consideration. And how to relate to a point of fear, almost. And how to relate to a point of fear, almost. And how to relate to a point of fear, almost. Almost. And how do we relate to a point of fear? Almost. Almost didn't die. And there, truly, sometimes, there is beauty, there is love, there kindness. And the cobwebs and tinder and the flame, idealized creativity, joy, movement. They recur, breathing life inside, beside, reside, breathing a force into the it. Soul searching, soul searching, soul searching. How do you deal with a broken soul? All the small fractures splinter a little less than before. Each time we reincarnate a little less than before. Once cracked, twice hidden. But there's no healing forgiveness in this place. No. I'm trying to tell you what my heart feels. I'm trying to tell you what I'm feeling. No one taught me this. No one gave me a language. And it seems quite clear. This cannot repair. And when you touch me and no bridge appears, it's gone. And when you touch me and there's no one solid without doubt, one more than before, it's gone. The ways I believed snap back to attention, concentrate. I'm trying to tell you what I'm feeling. I'm trying to tell you what my heart feels, but it's gone. It feels, but it's gone. And your eyes are no longer my mirrors to the soul searching. My soul is gone. It's broken. And there's nothing left behind these eyes. And there's nothing where the machine is cracked, and the engine cracked, and the pilot cracked, and the soul has yet to be revealed. We got left behind, and I've made a terrible mistake. Somehow I've come to believe that this world is real, and it's making me so miserable. This world that we created so easily. This world that so many times we leave believing, leaving. Did we burn our souls only around the edges? Did we burn our soul only around the edges? And the silver accelerates, never to return the same. A quick flip of the wrist, convinced in your deception that a soul is unbreakable, able to sink and flounder, but never drown. So effortless, smashing and dying, like turning wine into water. Bitter, the taste of success. It's a triumph of the foolish, foolishly fooled. A pool of tears, tears that sweep us away. And it wrenches the soul violently from its mooring. And the soul twists and turns with nothing left. And my soul is breaking. My soul is breaking in a token gesture of what my heart was really feeling. Vacuous and somber atmosphere here, publicly intimate. And a day later I walked the streets of New York, fading Xeroxes of the missing tacked in every corner, wallpaper of loss and fear and dying friends. Fathers play ball with their children, mothers go out with their friends. All these intimate tiny private moments captured and now used to find those who are lost. And the papers fluttered down into the gutter and the dust, and bleach like the sea does to paper on the holiday sand. Everything is half buried. Everyone is hoping. Everyone is seeing. And on this strange beach of dust, time is transfixed. Domestic scenes are scattered everywhere in choking grey dust. It's a senseless planting, the seeds of hopelessness, inadequate gardens. This dust that was once people is perhaps the most defiant and tragic expression of grief. Grief forcing itself into a fluttering season that we can never forget, because existence is always repeating itself. Did we burn our soul only around the edges? Did we burn those souls only around the edges? Grief is fluttering in a brief, fluttering season, existence. But before the winter comes with its rain and washes everything away like erosion on a rock or soil, and choking kindness from everyone and random pathos from those who should not care, loss upon loss, loss upon loss upon loss. Momentarily, for a moment, we cherished all this, almost a kiss. The vivid blossoms of gasoline, unifying love even as it withers. This is the most private, public moment. New York, as always, continues. And New York mimics the ostrich, burying itself, as always, in the sand and the grey dust. And we all look for an apple to chew upon. Why wouldn't we? There's 1 million Xeroxed mirrors on the streets of New York right now. They're dissolved in their desperate silver, their implosion emotion, diffused, refused. And the soul of a mother, the soul of another, soul nothing, soul nothing, soul no thing, nothing. Everyday life returns to the emptiness it was before, not delicate. And I am duty bound, honor gagged to say, like a mountaineer who's lost in the snow just near the summit, we're facing oblivion in every direction, and we're too scared to admit it as we freeze to death. Did we burn our souls only around the edges? Thank you. We're going to lighten it up a bit because that was a bit heavy, I think, but it was a heavy day. And the answer to the question we see in some people's, yes, we fucked again. What else do you do? Make life? Thank you, Daniela and Boris and everybody. And Ryan for bringing me. Talking of beatniks, which you were, Jack Kerouac said, "The purpose of life is to ease the pain of living." William Burroughs said, "Damn right, son, and shot up some more heroin," easing his pain immediately. He lived a lot longer, too. Tibetans call this spontaneous sublimity, the Diamond Sutra. My friend Timothy Wiley called it the diamond body. Seems to me it's more contradictory than that. More like an old type of light bulb. You know the ones with the little spring that's all bouncy when you do this? And then you hate it because you've just done this and now it's snapped and it doesn't work? Or when you're trying to undo the clasp of a bra to try and make love, and you can't quite do it slickly, and it's awkward, and suddenly you feel so stupid, and then it snaps apart. Thank God. Or even when the dog comes into the park and it snaps at you, or it snaps at a new kitten in the house, and you think, well, that's the point of law. That's the law of the universe. Snip, snap. Breaking the spring. But it's worse than just a disaster to interrupt the flow. You see, the light is broken down into self-revealed and self-revealing. How you react and what's happening. And the whole is the correct metaphor for who are we anyway? So does this mean we have a diamond center, a diamond body? Sublime, sublimity, or did we, or that was God, or was the light bulb, was that the metaphor? Or was it the bra that we couldn't quite undo? Which was it? Well, whoever shattered the light bulb span off cackling like Macbeth's witches, saying, I know what it is. We're released, but we're incomplete. So we just like to think we're light, speeding outwards before the light bulb is broken. For its own sake. We're expanding, always expanding, not arthritic. Each beam that we are is going out. Everything we are is one universe. Think about it. With or without the light bulb, only one person you know will see everything that happens to you. And that's you. And when you're not there, you don't exist. So you are one universe, all alone, with people who come and visit. But nobody sees where you really are. And you're a dying breed, because we're bred to die. Just like the cows up the street. We're splintered, little bits, but we're all part of an original something. Not an original sin, but something. But we're a dying breed, bred to die. And because we're bred to die, and we're breeding, we need others. We need them so we can feel we're not completely alone. And needing others, needing otherness, we need another mess. And so there we are, confused. If I'm the only one here all the time, what is my universe? Should I be bold, Boulder, Colorado, Tibetan, religious, agnostic, atheist, anythingist. God. God is the diamond cutter. And he can cut her. She is angelic. Beyond God. God is so plentiful. There are thousands to choose from, and more on the way. So, she, who could be multiple, who could be multifaceted. The words that she has are a diamond cutter, like a suture on a wound that you try to stop splitting and getting larger. All these gods spinning out words, spitting out words, spitting outwards, destroyer of words, creator of words, come to the words, maker of worlds. And if we return, turn again, turn again. And then you came into my life again. And then you came into my life again. And then you came into my life again. You're my special friend. So kiss me. Kiss me. Didn't know you were coming to a philosophy class, did you? But you are. It was a long time ago. We were in London. We'll sit down for the anecdotes, but yeah, it must have been about 1978, 79, something like that. And we got a phone call from William Burroughs, and he said, Jen, there's a crisis. Phone Brian Gysin. So we phoned Brian in Paris, and it turned out they said, Anthony Balch has died of stomach cancer. And he had this small office in Soho in London where he would distribute films, including the cut-ups and Towers Open Fire. And they said the problem is that now he's dead and he's not paid the rent for a while. The people who own the building are throwing him out or throwing out his stuff. And all the films that were made at the Beat Hotel in the 50s and 60s are going to be thrown out too. And you're the nearest person. So you've got to go down there right now and save all the films. So we were still on welfare, on the dole then. So we used our welfare check to get a taxi into London. And it was true. We said to the taxi driver, just keep the engine running. And then there were workmen coming out with these big tins of film and throwing them into a dumpster. And we said, no, put them in the taxi. And it turned out that those films were every single bit of film footage of the beatniks that existed. All the negatives, hours of unreleased films, master copies of the released films like the cut-ups and Towers Open Fire. And one more day, and they wouldn't have existed.